I will now call to order the August 17, 2023 Clackamas County Board of Commissioners business meeting. Gary Schmidt, County Administrator, would you please take the roll?
Yes, Chair Smith. First, our staff support today, Clerk to the Board, Tony Mayernick. County Counsel is Assistant County Counsel Jeff Munns. Commissioner Schrader is on her way. Roll call online. Commissioner West.
I'm here.
In the room, Commissioner Savas.
Present.
Commissioner Shull.
Here.
Chair Smith.
Here, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. We are holding this meeting in person and virtually. If you've joined us via Zoom for this meeting and are interested in providing public comment, Tony will prompt you how to do that when the time is right. General public comment will be taken at the usual allotted time. I would like to remind all participants, including staff, all elected officials, and members of the public that Robert's Rules of Orders will be followed in this business meeting. We welcome your opinions and look forward to your polite participation. I will now recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as a Housing Authority of Clackamas County Commissioners. Gary, please read the first item.
This is the Housing Authority of Clackamas County consent agenda. Joining you online is Housing Commissioner Ann Leenstra. Ann, are you there? Not yet. She's on her way. One moment, please.
Okay, I'm here.
Wonderful.
Good morning.
Welcome, Commissioner Leenstra. Tony, would you please read the Housing Authority consent agenda?
Housing Authority Consent Agenda, one item. Approval of a personal services contract with Impact Northwest for resident services staffing to provide peer support to families living in public housing. Contract value $358,497.60 for 1 year. Funding through Supportive Housing Services Measure Fund. No county general funds are involved.
Does any commissioner wish to remove this item from the consent agenda? Ann Leenstra, would you like to make a motion?
I move we approve the Housing Authority consent agenda for approval of a personal services contract with Impact Northwest for resident services staffing to provide peer support to families living in public housing.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Leenstra has moved for the approval of the Housing Authority consent agenda. Commissioner Savas to second the motion. Any further discussion? Tony, please take the poll.
Commissioner Leenstra.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner Shull.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you, Ann, for participating today.
You're welcome.
I will now adjourn as the Housing Authority Board and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners. Gary, what's next?
Next, you have two presentations. The first is recognition of the 2023 National Association of Counties Award recipients. Ed NACo from Public and Government Affairs will present.
Thank you, Gary. Good morning, Administrator Schmidt and Commissioners. I am Ed NACo with Public and Government Affairs. We are here to celebrate the Clackamas County project that earned a 2023 Achievement Award from the National Association of Counties, or NACo for short. NACo serves more than 3 million county employees and 3,000 county governments, collaborating on ways to better serve residents. Each year, NACo recognizes counties for programs that modernize county government and improve services for its residents. Programs are judged on innovation, creativity, effectiveness, measurable results, enhanced citizen participation, and increased public understanding of government programs. With this award, Clackamas County has now earned 11 NACo awards in just the past 3 years. In addition to the innovation, quality, and success of these programs, these awards also reflect the dedication and tireless work of county employees to make them happen. In this case, more than 200,000 West customers and county residents, as well as the region, are the beneficiaries. This morning, we'll hear from representatives of the NACo award-winning program for 2023. Afterwards, we'll respectfully request a group photo with the commissioners. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our presenters from Clackamas Water Environment Services, Shelley Perini, who handles West External Affairs, and Jeff Stallard, Capital Program Manager. Shelley and Jeff will now provide a brief presentation about the Tri-City Outfall Project outreach during the pandemic, which won in the category of county resiliency, civic education, and public information. I'd like to point out that while WES-educated voters in one city approved the ballot measure that you'll learn more about today, the capital project that was overwhelmingly approved by those voters will benefit all cities and communities in the West service area for decades to come. In this case, failure is simply not an option. Now I'll turn it over to Shelley and Jeff.
Thank you, Ed. Would you please both introduce yourselves?
Sure. Jeff Stallard, the Capital and Program Manager for Water Environment Services.
Shelley Perini, External Affairs, Clackamas Water Environment Services.
Thank you. Go ahead.
We're going to read from a script so we keep it on time for you. Okay. Good morning, Administrator Schmidt and Commissioners. It is a privilege to be here today to celebrate the receipt of the 2023 NACo Award, honoring Wes's hard work on the Tri-City Outfall Project. For those who are unaware of the project, the current outfall, which carries clean water from the Tri-City Water Resource Recovery Facility to the Willamette River, was constructed in 1984 and is nearing capacity during peak wet weather events. The new outfall will be large enough to provide safe, reliable service for decades to come. The good news is the existing outfall is structurally sound and will remain in place for use when needed during peak wet weather events. This will create redundancy and build resiliency for Wes's service area communities. The new outfall will run from the Tri-City facility paralleling I-205 under the Oregon 99 East off-ramp. It will continue under John Storm Park and discharge into the Willamette River just north of the I-205 Abernathy Bridge. It will use gravity to convey the water, so no pumping will be required. Aside from construction, our goal from the very beginning was to ensure that the new pipeline would have minimal impact to the park and surrounding archaeological and historical artifacts. This meant exploring trenchless technologies to minimize impacts to the adjacent properties. The project, which I'm pleased to report will start construction in 2024, will also include area enhancements such as native landscaping, riverbank restoration, trails, and other identified needs within the Oregon City Parks plans. In order to move forward with the project, which was approved by the District Board in 2019, a vote of the people was required for the outfall project to have access underneath John Storm Park per the Oregon City Code. This required the City of Oregon City to refer and measure requesting access to the voters on November 3rd, 2020 ballot. A yes vote would allow Wes access to accommodate these improvements. Shelley will tell you more about our efforts to garner stakeholder understanding and support for the project and the ballot measure holistically.
So to start, I'd like to echo Jeff's sentiments to the board for the opportunity to share a few highlights from our work on the Tri-City Outfall Project. At the time Wes decided to move forward with the project, no one could have predicted the hurdles we were about to encounter. It was daunting enough to pop up an outreach campaign to educate voters on the need for a ballot measure that would put a giant pipe under their beloved park, let alone all the collective sensitivities around perceived environmental, archaeological, and historical impacts. Smartly, Wes hired a communication firm to help develop a comprehensive public involvement and outreach plan. Together, we worked with our partners in PGA to pull together an ambitious but achievable plan to guide our collective efforts to garner stakeholder understanding and support for this important project. With a very small window to ramp up before the ballot measure filing, we had to move quickly. Then, in an unlucky twist of fate, a new hurdle arrived in the guise of a global pandemic. The world was calling COVID-19. It was clear our team had to pivot and reinvent how we were going to engage to achieve our tight timelines and goals. Fortunately for us, this new platform called Zoom arrived just in the nick of time. The early online stakeholder meetings provided two-way learning. Jeff and I were able to share the need for the project, and in return, we learned more about our community and what mattered most to them. We received invaluable input that transcended well beyond the project and into the realm of longer-term relationships. This was most elegantly illustrated by our engagement with the Grand Ronde tribe, where we had the chance to meet both online and in person with members of their Tribal Historic Preservation Office. During our COVID-friendly walking tour of the project, they provided us with a myriad of stories about the land and the meaning to their tribe. They reinforced that our project team had done its homework and the pipeline was threading the needle nicely through historical terrain. Understanding the efforts we were placing on archaeological and historical preservation were also top priorities of the Oregon City Commission, along with a guarantee that the park would be minimally disrupted and restored better than we found it. Once the ballot measure was filed, Jeff and I were regulated to messages, materials primarily approved by the Secretary of State's Safe Harbor program. To our surprise, calls started coming in from the groups and individuals that we had spoken to about the project, asking how they could help. Understandably, we had to explain that we could only educate. So on their own, members of the business community, along with some of West's Advisory Committee members, organized and took up the arm of advocacy by placing a message of support on the voters' pamphlet and writing letters to the editor. Thanks to all the collective efforts on November 3rd, 2020, Oregon City voters overwhelmingly approved the ballot measure. West would be able to place its pipeline underneath John Storm Park and meet the region's needs well into the future. So what did we learn? We learned that people care deeply about the future of clean water, and they value understanding what it will take to keep our rivers healthy and our watersheds vital. We also learned that safeguarding a clean water future where all people benefit and rivers thrive requires partnerships. It means working together on and beyond big projects. At West, deep utility relations is something we not only feel very passionate about, but understand it's key to our success, and it's an honor to be rewarded for our hard work. In closing, I'd like to thank the board for all your support and many contributions in being such a good partner in helping us safeguard a clean water future for all.
Is that it, Ed?
Do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, commissioners, do you have any questions or comments? Commissioner Scholl.
I would just like to say thank you to all of the employees at West for their exceptional work. You know, the times I've been down to your facility, I've always been impressed by how clean, how well maintained it is, and how effective it is. And so thank you again, and congratulations on this very significant award.
Thank you.
I did all those comments. Commissioner Schrader.
Well, it was wonderful to work a little bit with you on this project. I remember one of the first tours I took as a liaison to West to take a look at where it was with the tribes, if I remember correctly, because that is also one of the pieces that you very astutely managed, knowing that that was land that was precious to them. And the way you've managed this whole outreach shows how we can build community even around controversial topics, you know. And this wasn't controversial because of your work. And I'm also so glad that you got an award from the National Association of Counties. I am very active in that organization, and it's always a pleasure for me when I go to those meetings to know that our county is one of the top winners of awards across the board. So thanks for all your hard work. And Shelley, I hear you're going to be visiting Alex, so give him a big hug and a hi for me, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Savas.
Yeah. Well, not too many people realize, I think, how important water treatment is and how that affects the environment, particularly here in the Willamette River, Clackamas River, the confluence of the two. And the regulations we have to work under. So that's a prime area for recreation, and I think that understanding that in my previous life, prior to being a commissioner on water boards and sanitary boards, I do understand how difficult and expensive a project like this is. So understanding all the environmental concerns, as well as, you know, that area that's, has a lot of history prior to our settlements here. That's how that affects those populations. So thank goodness for a lot of underground boring, and then we're not going to have to trench this whole thing. So again, appreciate the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. I likewise echo all your sentiments. I'm very, very happy that the employees have showed up to be recognized for this wonderful award. We love doing this. We love recognizing our employees. Like I've always said, our employees are our greatest asset at Clackamas County. I do believe we have a presentation, commissioners. The awardees may come up, and stand behind this desk with commissioners for a photo. And so we'll take down those little black things so you can get up here easily. Thank you. Commissioners, let's join them.
Thank you, Chair Smith.
Take a couple here. Great, thank you.
Thank you, and a big round of applause. Gary, what's next?
Next presentation is recognition of the 2022 Clackamas County Spirit of Excellence Award recipients. Aaron Knapp from Human Resources will present.
Good morning, Chair Smith and Commissioners. My name is Erin Knapp, representing Human Resources this morning. I'd like to welcome you all to the Spirit of Excellence Award presentation this morning. This is the 10th year the A-Team has collaborated with the Board of County Commissioners, County Administration, and Human Resources to bring you these awards. Over the past year, county employees submitted over 100 Spirit Award nominations to recognize excellence in their coworkers. A-Team members and Leadership Academy members selected 10 of these Spirit nominations to receive the Spirit of Excellence Award, which honors those who embody our county core values of service, professionalism, integrity, respect, individual accountability, and trust. This award presentation is held to honor and thank our nominees who have exemplified Clackamas County's core values through their dedicated, energetic, and caring service to our citizens. The employees receiving this award are valued for their ability to represent Clackamas County well, both inside and outside of our community. A special thank you goes also out to our group of Spirit of Excellence Award winners for your dedication to Clackamas County. We've placed all submissions of the Spirit of Excellence Awards on the A-Team's intranet page. We also want to thank all those who took the time to submit awards and nominate their fellow coworkers, as this would only be possible with their participation. At this time, Chair Smith will read the name and department of each recipient. When you hear your name, please make your way to the front where you'll receive your certificate from Chair Smith and the commissioners. Once all the recipients are called up front, we will take a quick photo.
Thank you, Aaron. Do commissioners have any comments at this time you'd like to make?
Can we make them now or later or
It's
both?
up to you. Now's a good time.
Well, I just want to echo the chair's comments earlier. We can't do the good work that we do without you all. You're all important. You're part of the fabric of providing services to the county, and we appreciate your work. As a previous employer in a small business, I understand how keeping a good workforce and keeping morale high is really important. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Commissioner Shull?
Yeah, I too would like to express my appreciation to our employees of this county. You know, I'm proud to say that Clackamas County has got a reputation for doing excellent work, providing excellent services to the people of this county. So thank you, and I look forward to meeting everybody this morning who gets an award.
Commissioner Schrader?
Well, I'm just so impressed with the workforce that we have here in Clackamas County. You all do such a fantastic job, and I'm so pleased that folks are able to get such a great award today on behalf of our county. Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you. Commissioner West, who is online.
Thank you, Chair. And so sorry I cannot be there today. And I just want to say thank you also, echo the sentiments of my colleagues on the dais, that we are very proud of you. And thank you for bringing your talents to Clackamas County and working to make this an excellent county where people want to work, where people want to live, where they want to play, where they want to have clean, vibrant spaces. You guys contribute to good government, and thank you to all that you do.
I echo all the comments of the commissioners, and you're all just great. So with that in mind, commissioners will go down here. I will read the names, and Vice Chair Scholl will present you with your award, okay?
You guys want us down too? Okay.
Am I on? First up, from Facilities Maintenance, is Kaz Helmstetter. Welcome. The other one. That's a facilities guy for you. It cannot be detoured, right? You bet. Just stay right here with us. Yes. Up next, Health, Housing, and Human Services, Donna Davis. Yep, good idea. Okay. Technology Services, Elizabeth Kalick. Health, Housing, and Human Services, Jared Hinshaw. Oh, you have a fan club. Must be those snazzy shoes you're wearing. Up next, from Finance, Michelle Marshall. Human Resources, Nina Smith. Up next, Technology Services, Sterling Fisher. From Finance, Tanya Sharp. And there's 2 award winners that could not be here today, but we will acknowledge them. From Assessment and Taxation, Alicia Nye, and County Clerk Ian Willard. Give them a round of applause. Thank you. Now, Scott, come forward, and we will have that famous picture, and we all need to crowd together just like we love each other, okay?
Congratulations.
Thank you. That was a lot of fun. Thank you all for coming. And I see you all have fan clubs. You can stay for the rest of our very exciting business meeting, or you can do whatever you want, okay? Gary, what's up next?
Next, you have 3 public hearings. The first public hearing is approval of a board order approving boundary change proposal 2023-003 and annexation to the Clackamas County Service District Number 1. Jeff Munns, Assistant County Counsel, will present.
Morning, Chair, Commissioners. First of 3 of these public hearings today regarding annexations, which are going to prove to be not quite as popular as what we just did, it looks like. But this is annexation to the Clackamas County Service District Number 1. The first property is located at 16388 Southeast Highway 224, recently annexed to the city of Happy Valley. Property is 1 single-family residence and a church. It's 1.15 acres. The district has a sewer main located adjacent to the property to serve this location. Reason for the annexation is to replace the septic system with sanitary sewer service. As a board, your role in this is to review the criteria as well as state law and the property, make sure that it qualifies for annexation in this case. We review the county's comprehensive plan as well as the Metro Code and state law for these purposes. We have done so. This property qualifies for annexation, and staff recommends that it be annexed to the district. This is proposal 2023-003.
Thank you, Jeff. Commissioners, questions or comments on this? Seeing none, I will now open the meeting for public testimony. I will take in-person testimony first regarding this particular hearing. I don't see any blue cards in the room. Tony, our clerk, will check if there's anyone on Zoom.
If you would like to testify on boundary change proposal 2023-003, please use the raise hand feature and I will call on you in the order received. Madam Chair, I don't have any hands raised.
Thank you. I will now close the public hearing and ask, Commissioners, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
I move we approve the board order approving boundary change proposal 2023-003.
Seconded.
Commissioner Savas has moved we approve the board order approving boundary change proposal 2023-003, and Commissioner Scholl has seconded that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Tony, please take the poll.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Gary, what's next?
The next public hearing is approval of a board order approving boundary change proposal 2023-004 and annexation to Clackamas County Service District Number 1. Jeff Munns will present as well.
Thank you. Yes, the second annexation proposal. This is property located at 17328 Southeast Sunnyside Road, also recently annexed to the city of Happy Valley. It is 2 commercial structures. The reason they are seeking annexation at this time is to support additional development of the site, to serve their existing structures as well as the future development. Likewise, this annexation complies with our comprehensive plan, state law as well as Metro Code, and staff recommends this annexation proceed. This is proposal 2023-004.
Do commissioners have any questions or comments? I will now open the meeting for public testimony. I will take in-person testimony first. Is there anyone in the room who would like to testify on this particular hearing and boundary annexation? Seeing none, Tony, is there anyone on Zoom?
Not at this time, Madam Chair.
Okay. I will now close the public hearing and ask if there's any further discussion. Can I have a motion?
I move we approve a board order approving boundary change proposal 2023-004.
Seconded.
Commissioner Schrader has moved we approve the board order approving boundary change proposal 2023-004. Commissioner Scholl has seconded that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Tony, please call the poll.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Commissioner Schull,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Gary, what's next?
Third public hearing, approval of a board order approving boundary change proposal 2023-005 and annexation to the Sunrise Water Authority. Jeff Munns will present.
Thank you, Gary. Yes, the final public hearing, this one involves the Sunrise Water Authority. As the board, you act as the boundary commission, which is why even districts that are not county service districts come before you in this manner. This property it's 2 tax lots located at 9747 and 9757 Southeast 172nd Avenue, also recently annexed to the city of Happy Valley. It's 2 tax lots to improve the 2 existing single-family homes on 13 acres. The reason for the annexation is the owner of these properties wishes to develop a further 44 single-family homes on these 2 parcels, and so the annexation of the district will help with that service to those homes. Again, this annexation is consistent with our county code, comprehensive plan, state law, and metro code, and staff recommends this annexation proceed. It's annexation 2023-005 to the Sunrise Water Authority.
Do commissioners have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I will open the meeting for public testimony and take in-person testimony first. Is there anyone in the room who would like to testify on this boundary change public hearing? Seeing none, Tony, is there anyone online?
Not at this time, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I will now close the public hearing and ask commissioners, are there any further questions? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
I move we approve the board order approving a board boundary change proposal 2023-005.
Second.
Commissioner Schull has moved we approve the board order approving boundary change proposal 2023-005. Commissioner Schrader has seconded the motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Tony, please take the poll.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner Schull,
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much, commissioners. Gary, what's up?
Next is the consent agenda, a long one. Tony, would you please read the consent agenda?
Elected officials, item 1, approval of previous business meeting minutes for the Board of County Commissioners. Item 2, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon State Marine Board for enforcement related to recreational boating in Oregon. Agreement value is $885,070 for 2 years. Funding is through the Oregon State Marine Board. Total program budget includes $219,165 in budgeted county general funds for fiscal year 2023 for 2024 for the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office. Item 3, approval of a board order authorizing issuance of a purchase order with 911 Supply Incorporated for police clothing and gear purchases through a cooperative contract. Purchase order value not to exceed $200,000 for 1 year. Funding through enhanced law enforcement district funding, public safety local option levy funding, contract cities, and $145,000 in budgeted county general funds for fiscal year 2023-2024 for the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office. Item 4, approval to apply for a Victims of Crime Act and Criminal Fine Act grant from the Oregon State Department of Justice, and board order delegating authority to the district attorney to sign the application. Grant value is $1,467,326 for 2 years. Funding through federal and state funds. Total program budget includes $801,624 in budgeted county general funds for fiscal year 2023-2024 for the district attorney's office. Item 5, approval of a cooperative grant agreement with the Oregon Department of Justice for child support services. Grant value is $8 million over 4 years. Funding is through the Oregon Department of Justice. Total program budget includes $441,105 in budgeted county general funds for fiscal year 23-24. Human Resources, item 1, approval of the 2023 agreements with Providence Health Plan for administrative services for Clackamas County self-funded medical plans. Agreement value is $26,661,157 for 1 year. Funding through contributions and fees paid by county departments, employees, retirees, COBRA beneficiaries, and other agencies contracting with Clackamas County for employee benefits administration, including $7,731,735 in budgeted county general funds. Transportation and Development, item 1, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the cities of Gladstone, Lake Oswego, Milwaukee, Oregon City, West Lynn, and Wilsonville for the traffic signal controller upgrades and signal optimization project. Total project value is $820,103. Funding through federal, county road, and local jurisdiction funds. No county general funds are involved. Item 2, approval of a quitclaim deed for 7 properties sold at the June 2023 surplus property auction. Total value is $1,324,000. Funding through the purchasers. No county general funds are involved. Item 3, approval of an engineering and related services contract with Harper, Half, Peterson, Regalis Incorporated for the Courtney Avenue, Complete Street, River Road, Oregon 99E project. Total contract value is $1,261,338.71. Funding through regional flexible funds allocation, county road fund, and system development charges. No county general funds are involved. Item 4, approval of a grant agreement with Metro to prepare a travel options action plan. Total value $239,608, including local staff in-kind match of $24,608. Funding is through Metro, match funding through county road fund. No county general funds are involved. Item 5, approval of a board order approving declaration of surplus property. Total value is $95,459 based on minimum bid amounts at future auction. Funding is through future auction proceeds. No county general funds are involved. Technology Services, Item 1, approval of a public improvement contract with Roth Communication Incorporated for the placement of underground conduit and vaults on Moonbeam Drive as part of the Colorado Road ARPA project. Total value is $204,225. Funding through Clackamas County American Rescue Plan Act funding for broadband expansion. No county general funds are involved. Item 2, approval of a public improvement contract with FiberTel LLC for the placement of underground conduit and vaults in the government camp area. Total value $253,539. Funding through Clackamas County American Rescue Plan Act funding for broadband expansion. No county general funds are involved. Item 3, approval of a service level agreement with Link Oregon for dark fiber services to the Oregon State University Research Facility on Miley Road. Total value $285,700. Funding is through Link Oregon. No county general funds are involved. Health, Housing, Human Services, Item 1, approval of Amendment 10, increasing funding from an intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Health Authority for the financing of community mental health, addiction treatment, recovery and prevention, and problem gambling services. Amendment value is $4,599,093.41 for 6 months. Agreement value is increased to $20,281,264.35 for 2 years. Funding through the Oregon Health Authority. No county general funds are involved. Item 2, approval of Amendment 2, increasing funding and duration of an intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Health Authority for Choice Model Services. Amendment value $423,946.50 for 6 months. Agreement value increased to $1,695,785.99 for 2 years. Funding through the Oregon Health Authority. No county general funds are involved. Item 3, approval of a personal services contract with Catholic Community Services of Western Washington for stabilization services for children and their families. Contract value is $622,956.50 for 12 months. Funding through the Oregon Health Authority. No county general funds are involved. Item 4, approval of a revenue grant agreement with the Oregon Community Foundation for building a trauma-informed public health system in Clackamas County. Grant value is $150,000 for 3 years. Funding through the Oregon Community Foundation. No county general funds are involved. Item 5, approval of a non-federal subrecipient grant with Hawthorne, Oregon Foursquare Church, doing business as Theophilus Church for Blueprint Grant. Grant value is $74,978 for 2 years. Funding is through budgeted county general funds. Item 6, approval of Amendment 3, extending the term and increasing the value of a contract with Impact Northwest for continued housing navigation and placement, supportive housing case management, and shelter and care services. Amendment value $923,537.92 for 1 year. Contract value increased to $1,701,806.16 for 2 years. Funding is through supportive housing service measure funds. No county general funds are involved. Item 7, approval of Amendment 1, increasing the value of an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Portland to access and use the Homeless Management Information System. Amendment value is $50,000 for 1 year. Agreement value is increased to $150,000 for 5 years. Funding is through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. No county general funds are involved. Item 8, approval of Amendment 2, expanding the scope of work, extending the term, and increasing the value of a personal services contract with the Father's Heart Street Ministry for rural and urban outreach and engagement, housing navigation and placement, and supportive housing case management. Amendment value is $2,836,954 for 1 year. Contract value is increased to $3,492,169 for 2 years. Amendment is funded through $1,836,954 in supported housing service measure funds and $1 million in state funding from the governor's state of emergency due to homelessness. No county general funds are involved. Madam Chair, that concludes the list.
Thank you very much. Tony, time for a drink of water. Does any commissioner wish to remove anything from the consent agenda?
Chair, just some comments.
Yes.
You'll hear this from time to time, and I just want to just convey my concerns. I appreciate the fact that we now review our consent agenda on Tuesdays. I think we have a responsibility to make informed decisions, and, you know, we go through this ritual exercise on Tuesdays and on Thursdays. Here we are improving the consent agenda. And I appreciate the staff who did reply on Tuesday to my questions and waiting for more, not uncommon. But, you know, we tried to put together a strategic plan several years ago, which became coined the MFR, Managing for Results. And it's just a painful process for me knowing that we invested so much time and money in that, and we still are not really having metrics accompany some of these decisions or authorizations. So again, I appreciate the staff that have responded, and I'm hoping to get some more response on some of these. So today, I will just make a quiet protest of abstaining. I don't want to point out any one particular issue or department per se, but I just want to just make the comment. I think the public deserves some transparency, and I think having metrics on these expenditures would be of value. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other comments? Mr. Scholl.
Yes, I too am concerned about transparency, but I want, as people listen to this meeting today and they hear this extensive consent agenda, I want everybody to know that the process that we use is a very detailed process. It might seem like we go through this very quickly on Thursdays at the business meeting, but every one of these items has been presented to the Board of Commissioners, and each commissioner, sometimes hundreds of pages of detail on each one of these. So I think, I just want you to know that we have a very efficient process. Thank you.
Thank you both for your concerns. To follow up on Commissioner Scholl, those details can be found by going online and you click on a link, and then anybody can read the hundreds of pages or maybe only 2 pages of details for any of the items. Any other comments? Seeing none, Tony, please call the poll.
Motion.
I'll take a motion.
I move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Commissioner Scholl has moved for approval of consent agenda. Commissioner Schrader has seconded the motion. Further discussion? Seeing none, Tony, take the poll, please.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
I abstain.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl,
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 4-1-0. Thank you very much. I will now recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as a Water Environment Services Board of Directors. Gary, what's next?
Next is the consent agenda for Water Environment Services. Tony, would you please read the consent agenda?
Item 1, approval of fiscal year 2022-2023 report in lieu of audit form for Clackamas County Service District Number 1. Filing fee is $20. Funding through Water Environment Services, Sanitary Sewer, and Surface Operating Funds. No county general funds are involved. Item 2, approval of fiscal year 2022-23 report in lieu of audit for Surface Water Management Agency of Clackamas County. Filing fee is $20. Funding through Water Environment Services, Surface Water Operating Funds. No county general funds are involved. Item 3, approval of fiscal year 2022-23 report in lieu of audit for Tri-City Service District. Filing fee is $20. Funding is through Water Environment Services, Sanitary Sewer Operating Funds. No county general funds are involved.
Does any director wish to remove anything from the consent agenda? I'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve the Water and Environment Services consent agenda.
Seconded.
Director Schrader has moved that we approve the Water Environment Services consent agenda, and Director Scholl has seconded that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Tony, please take the poll.
Director Savas,
Aye.
Director West,
Aye.
Director Shaw,
Aye.
Director Schrader,
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. I will now adjourn as the Water Environment Services Board and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners. Up next is public communication. This portion of the agenda shall be limited to items of county business which are properly the object of board consideration and should be nonpartisan in nature, as the BCC is a nonpartisan governing body under Oregon Revised Statutes and County Code. Testimony is limited to 3 minutes. Comments shall be respectful and courteous to all. As a reminder, you can email submissions for public comment at bcc@clackamas.us, and these will be accepted as part of the record. I will now open the meeting for public testimony. I will take in-person testimony first. I have 2 cards. If there's anybody else in the room who wants to testify, please go forward, fill out a blue card, and put it in the basket. Up first, Sarah Sanderson. Nancy Slavin, do you want to come up together? Go ahead. I didn't know which order. So go ahead and state your name, your area of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Shull, West, Smith, Schrader, and Savas for having me speak again in this public hearing. My name is Nancy Slavin. I live in Oregon City. I want to introduce you today to this book called The Place We Make. This is written by Sarah Sanderson, one of our Clackamas County Showing Up for Racial Justice members. This book is about Jacob Vanderpool, who is the only man in Oregon expelled from the state, forcing him to lose his business, livelihood, home, and family income because of his immutable trait of having black skin. This book is our history right here in Oregon City. It is also the founding of Clackamas County and indeed our country from which all of our infrastructure and rules and laws and policies stem. Importantly, though, while the book is about what happened to Jacob Vanderpool, the story is really about the people who conspired to get rid of him because anti-black exclusion laws existed in Oregon. Can we agree that exclusion is the opposite of inclusion? I posit that this county has still not reckoned with this history in any way sufficient enough to warrant the watering down, splitting up, defunding, thinning out, dispersing of the Office of Equity and Inclusion in Clackamas County. I invite each one of you to read this book before you continue down this road of trying to find equality in a place we made, which historically excluded people of color, hung Indigenous people on Main Street, and still has many people who live here who feel bold enough to post their Nazi paraphernalia in their windows or throw hate messages out into our streets near my child's school, or even paint swastikas right on your own county campus. By allowing people to foment hate rather than leading by example with real care and inclusion, we seem to be headed right back to where we were in 1851. This book is a quick read. I read it in a day. It's a synthesized history of where we live and a very thoughtful personal narrative. It's also getting national attention as it was released this week. Sarah's already been giving talks in Portland and on programs in Texas and Ohio. I will wait after the meeting, and if you can agree to read the book, perhaps you will learn some things that you don't not understand. Sarah's graciously donating these copies to you. If you can't commit to reading the book, I know you're busy, I will donate the copy to the local library, and we'll have more information about your willingness to learn and grow and do better. Again, as always, I'm inviting you to talk to us at Showing Up for Racial Justice and with many of the groups who are part of the Equity Coalition here in Clackamas County, so perhaps we can have a real dialogue and quite literally get on the same page. I'm asking you to understand our history of exclusion, injustice, violence, and harm so that we do not continue to repeat the history in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sarah Sanderson.
Yeah, hi, I'm Sarah Sanderson. I live in Gladstone. And I just want to clarify for you that I didn't write this book to shame Oregon City or Clackamas County or Oregon. I have
members of my family, ancestors who came over on the Oregon Trail. My grandmother's maiden name was Latourette. There's a park in Oregon City named after my family. And I'm very proud of many things that my family did. But I am not proud of the fact that there are members of my family who participated in excluding a man from this state because he was black. And so I wrote this book to take that history into account, to take personal responsibility for where I find racism in my own heart. And I'm here today to let you know, because you're leaders here, and I believe that you want to help make this a better place. And so I just, as a courtesy, want you to know that this book is out there, and I would love if you could read it. And if I can help you in any way in the future, please let me know.
Thank you. If you want to drop a copy off at the front desk or here, I'm sure some commissioners would want to read it, including me. Yes, thank you. Commissioner Schrader?
I just wanted to say I definitely commit to reading it, and can you get us a few more copies? But I know, that would be nice, and we could hand them out, and maybe we can have a conversation about the context of this book with our folks that are working on this to advise the county. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room who would like to comment at this time? Seeing none, Tony, is there anyone online who would like to give some testimony today?
Not at this time, Madam Chair.
Okay. I will now close the public communication portion of this meeting, and we will move on. Gary, what's up next?
Next up is County Administrator Update. That's me. I like to share good news of the work of our employees during my update. Today I want to share 2 letters that members of the public wrote about our employees, and they're nice letters, so I wanted to share. First, for our Department of Transportation and Development, wrote a note about Building Codes Specialist Sherry Yoakum. The note said, "I wanted to say thank you for an employee who went above and beyond and provided me with great customer service in applying for a building permit. Sherry Yoakum helped walk me through applying for my permit. Because of Sherry's help, the process was very easy for me to understand, and she was extremely nice and professional when she was assisting me. While I am continuing to work on my construction project, Sherry has been available to assist me in answering questions as I navigate through the permitting process. I view Sherry as a strong asset to your department, and I appreciate her professionalism." So thank you, Sherry Yoakum from Building Codes, and for the person who wrote the note. Second, a note about our law library. Do you know we have a law library? Of course you do, commissioners. We have a law library at Clackamas County. This note was written about Bob Cooper, who is an assistant law librarian at the county. The member of the public wrote, "I came by the law library to do some research for a small claims case. Bob was so helpful and knowledgeable. He kindly located the books I was inquiring about and pointed me in the right direction when I had additional questions. He seemed genuinely interested in assisting me with my research. I am very grateful for his expertise on all the resources available to me, and he even suggested a few I had not previously considered. The information he helped me locate and provided me with at the law library helped me to intelligently prepare and assist with our defense, which ultimately resulted in a dismissal of the case."
Wow.
This is certainly not the kind of service I expected when I went to the law library, and it can be a very intimidating environment, but Bob made it very pleasant and informative. So thank you to Bob Cooper, our assistant law librarian, and for the member of the public who wrote the note. Finally, an announcement, commissioners, you know this, of course, but for the public, the commission will be on recess for the next 2 weeks from August 18th, tomorrow, through September 4th, after Labor Day. So there will not be a board business meeting until Thursday, September 7th at 10 a.m. That will be the next business meeting. And that is my update today. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you for that, Gary. I love hearing about librarians because I used to be one.
Yeah.
Right, Commissioner Schrader?
I miss it.
Yeah. Martha, you and I share a lot of
Yeah, we do.
we do, yeah. I can't say I was as stellar as a librarian as this man was because I was in an elementary school, and they all come at you at once, which is quite a challenge in itself. Up next is Commissioner Communication. On the list first is Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, Chair, colleagues, I hope you'll indulge me in my comments here today. So over the last several weeks, couple months actually, we've had almost at every meeting comments regarding the DEI issue. And I certainly respect, do not challenge in any such way anyone or any commissioner or public's right to bring up an issue such as this. This is perfectly acceptable. So I encourage all those comments, whether we agree with them or not, or whether we like them or not, is not really relevant. Everyone has the opportunity to express. Everyone on this board has an opportunity to make a motion. And how this issue started was a motion that was made during the budget cycle in May. No problem with that. You know, I don't challenge the rationale for that or whatnot, but it has, since that point in time, it has created a lot of questions and certainly a lot of uncertainty as to what we're doing, where we're going. And from that point forward, it seems to me that there should have been some sort of information put out there by us. There's a mistaken belief that we are holding hearings on this on a weekly basis. We have verbal submissions of that. We've had written submissions of that. People think we're holding hearings on DEI. And I've been contacted. I've been in many ways and said, well, we're not really having any hearings on this. I'm not exactly sure technically exactly what's going to happen. And I think people that have come and taken the time to either write something and send it to us or take the time to come here and speak to us are wondering what we're going to do. And I think that the public deserves at least some transparency or some closure, if you will, ideally both, as to what we're doing with this particular issue. I know we don't want to raise any false expectations that there's, of any sort. But at the same token is because it's been a repeated weekly input, whether it's been email, whether it's been here under public comment, I think that the public deserves to know what we're going to do with this. I normally, in my 13 years of being a commissioner, I've been able to refer people to the packet or in the information, and on this one, there has been zero, nothing. And because it hasn't been an agenda item for the board, but it certainly has been important. I know that after that budget motion that was made in the budget committee, it was ultimately discussed or going to be on the agenda for discussion on August 1st. It was discussed on August 1st, but again, there was no packet or material that offered any insight, any sort of transparency or understanding as to what we were doing. I just want to state for the last time here that I think that the public deserves some transparency, some explanation, and some closure on this particular issue. And I'll just leave it there, Chair. I wish everyone a great 2-week recess. I do know that not unlike past recesses, I'll probably be, in communication and doing some of my work as a county commissioner regardless of the recess. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sams. Administrator Schmidt, do you have a comment?
So on August 1st, Commissioner Chavez is correct. You've not had there's no formal memos or staff reports on this topic. I told you on August 1st what my plan was from an organizational perspective to restructure what the work looks like at the county, and I'll report back to you when I've done that. But there was no memo or written documents. I will do whatever your director asks me to do. I'd like to, if you give me some time to come back to you on what a restructure would look like. I see it more as an organizational chart type action. But I am going to report back to you as I said I would. But that's true. There's not been a formal policy session or review. My thought was if I could work on the organizational structure, that might temper things and calm things down, and it hasn't really calmed things down. But I would like to do that and come back to you in September, and maybe from there you can decide what you'd like to do.
Thank you. Up next, Commissioner West.
Thank you, Chair. I wish I could be there today. Unfortunately, I'm not able to, but I hope everybody takes time to go and visit the Clackamas County Fair. I know it's really hot, but hopefully we'll get a few days that aren't quite as scorching. But there's a lot of great things there, the livestock barns with all of the different types of livestock that many young people have worked on and brought to be shown and auctioned off. A lot of amazing rides. The food is really good. There's lots of different entertainment, tons of different booths that you can walk around and look at and see different people's wares or different advocacy groups, learn more about the county even. So there's a lot to do at the county fair. I learned this week that we have one of the oldest, longest running fairs in the state of Oregon. If I remember correctly, our fair started in 1907, which is over 100 years old and is continually running year after year. And so there's a lot of great things happening in Clackamas County. Also really appreciated the conversation yesterday we had on tolling, even though it was a difficult conversation, as we continue to advocate and fight ODOT against this scheme that's quite regressive and I think a threat to our population here in Clackamas County. And then I think I'll just piggyback a little bit on what Commissioner Savas said. I think there most likely is going to be continued conversations around diversity, equity, and inclusion and how the culture that we want here in Clackamas County. I hope that we have one that's really focused on merit, fairness, equality, and being colorblind and making sure that we're promoting that type of culture here in the county. I think it's less divisive. I think it's more actually inclusive and actually brings not just diversity of skin pigmentation, but also diversity of thought ideas beyond just someone's immutable traits. And so I want to try to get away from the more divisive work on this topic. And I think if we do roll out future policies, maybe those will most likely and will come before the public, but taking one step at a time, I think is appropriate. And I do hope, and I believe that we'll be transparent along the entire way. So that's all I have for everybody this week, and thank you for allowing me to attend virtually.
Absolutely. Thank you. Commissioner Schrader, you're up.
Well, I have a bunch of stuff to say, so bear with me. This morning, I had a conversation with Bridget Daisy. Bridget Daisy is the director of Clackamas Workforce Partnership. We are continuing to work on childcare as an issue for our businesses. Every place I go and talk to a business, I'm finding out, particularly through human resources, that retaining a workforce is difficult because we have a child care desert here in Clackamas County. So we're looking at seeing what we can do. I'm waiting to get the HUD report, Housing and Urban Development, which is a federal report, because they are allocating money for child care facilities. So that would be the sticks and bricks part. The other part of it, however, is getting folks who are qualified to work in daycare centers. And I've said this before, I'm very proud of our local community college because they have a pathway of early childhood education and development for our Hispanic community as well as other peoples in the community in order to have that pipeline of resources of work of people that can actually work in the centers, be trained, and actually be very knowledgeable about early childhood development and how you approach and work with small children. So that's still going on. I also talked to her about American Medical Response, which is right now, we employ them as a franchise ambulance service. One of the things that we've been finding out that they have also an issue with retaining employees. There just aren't enough emergency medical technicians and paramedics in the pipeline. So I talked specifically with Bridget about that and what we could be doing as a workforce board to help get that pipeline going again. I do know that Clackamas Community College does have an emergency medical technician program. And then the other piece of this is, once you become an EMT, who can you get that can move to that next level and be a paramedic? So I'm working on that workforce issue with AMR. I have talked with them about it. Philip Mason Joyner, who is our public health person, joined us at this meeting today to see and give some information to our workforce board about what we can be doing to increase the number of people who go into that field. One of the things I found out was that American Medical Response actually used to go to high schools and used to go to the community colleges to actually encourage people to enter this field. I'll be giving a call to Tim Cook to talk to him about this and take a closer look at their program. We also had a conversation about an initiative the Workforce Board is putting forward. They're going to have an aspirational community conversation, really asking the question about where do we want our county to be in 10 years, particularly with jobs, particularly with workforce. How are we helping people move up the pipeline to economic prosperity? So we're going to do a prosperity initiative. We've been working on that for a while as well. Okay, I want to mention the Recovery Center that Commissioner Ben, Commissioner West and I went to see a recovery center in Austin, Texas. It's Haven for Hope. And one of the conversations I had with Bridget again this morning is how do we weave workforce into a recovery facility who people are homeless, people who need recovery services. How do we move them through the system and make sure that getting a job is part of that system? So, and finally, we did talk about C2P2. And I think the folks in the audience will be happy to hear this today. What does that mean? Construction Career Pathway Project. And it is a project that Workforce has been doing, and it actually is there to get more women in the construction workforce, as well as folks, minority populations that have been barriered because they have not had access to it. So I just want to say, from that perspective, to me, that is an equity issue, because equity, to me, is removing barriers so people can participate in a democracy. And as far as DEI, I plan on continuing to the best of my ability to do that work. I've been doing it for years. I did it in Canby. I did it, as a volunteer, worked with the Hispanic community in housing for Canby. Now that we have other folks down there, the Canby Center, that are also doing that kind of work. So I don't think you'll hear the last of diversity, equity, and inclusion. But I do think you need to give us the time and space to figure this out, and trust the fact that I believe the work will go forward. But now you need to give us the space so we can really work with our administrator and look at and see how he is going to restructure that. And I am saying this directly because I do think, for me, it is transparency as well. So Gary, I'll be working with you to take a look at the reorganization, what that means. But from my perspective, I don't see it going away. So anyway, thank you for that, and I hope all of you have a good, hope all of us have a good break.
Yep.
I really do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Up next, Commissioner Shull.
Good morning, Clackamas County, on this 17th day of August, 2023. On the county fair, I'd like to thank the Clackamas County Fair Board and everyone who has worked for this last year to put together one of the greatest county fairs you'll ever find. We were there on Tuesday. It was a great fun. It runs through Saturday, so please put the children in the car, head on down to Canby Fairgrounds this week, and I guarantee you'll have a good time. On the road ahead for our country and our county. Anytime you throw your support behind a political party, and that party cannot keep its promises made to you during election time, and you are confused enough to continue to identify yourself with that party, you are not only blind, but you are a traitor to your neighbors, to your family, and to your children's future and porous borders, the drug epidemic, Measure 110, crippling taxation, failed schools, and despoiled cities are your own personal legacy. Today, people can see anti-American pressures knocking on their doors. The left is replacing what made America great with failed concepts that make America weak. And hundreds of thousands of voters across this state helped them do it. In the land where for 250 years we have heard, "Let freedom ring," there is a new sound. That's the sound of someone breaking into your home or business, the sound of crime destroying our cities and communities, the sound of a governor letting criminals back on our streets, including rapists and murderers. It's the sound of millions of illegal immigrants pouring across our border each year, to include military-aged men from all over the world. It's the sound of porous borders that allow in enough fentanyl to kill every man, woman, and child in this country many times over. With the federal government deferring responsibility for reacting to many of these problems onto struggling county budgets with limited infrastructure and capabilities. It's the sound of bewildered American families working harder and harder each year to keep their heads above the economic tides. But few dare to speak out about these things for fear of being canceled by a vicious and loud minority. So, too many Oregonians feel forced to be quiet and accept that what is wrong is right while we watch our schools fail year in and year out. Next year, we have the chance, another chance, at the polls to elect people to government, including a new president, who see the truth and have the courage to act in support of that truth. People who will make freedom ring once again. And the outcome will be determined by each of us, exercising our right to vote, exercising our good judgment and common sense, and exercising our will to regain the America we want to leave to our children and grandchildren. Be brave, be free. Thank you for your time, and may God bless America and Clackamas County. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Shull. This week, as you know, is the fair. Please go and support all the people there. Other commissioners has mentioned this, but the fair is really made possible by all the participants, the 4-H kids who show their animals, and all the other people, the FFA people. And it is a really good opportunity for these young people to hone their skills in junior high and high school area. The culmination of the showing of their animals happens on Saturday at the livestock auction, where they have an opportunity to have people bid on their animals for sale. And it's just really a lot of fun. I attended last year. I'll probably be there again this year. It's just a really wonderful time to support our young people. A lot of the money from the proceeds of the sale of their animals goes back to paying for raising them and feeding them, which is quite expensive. And a lot of these younger people save money for scholarships for the future. There's a lot of corporations that attend this auction and bid on these animals because they look at this particular group of young people as their future employees, because in the way they speak and present themselves and have a business mind, because actually raising livestock is a business. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to meet the kids, and it's just a very good time. We all attended the fair this Tuesday in the Kid Caper Parade, sponsored by Canby Kiwanis, and it culminated with our fair presentation and opening ceremonies on the stage from the fair board. Representative Rick Lewis was in attendance. We had the princess of the rodeo, and we had Mrs. Oregon, I believe, also gave a speech and sang the national anthem. So it was a great time. It was a great time, but it was hot, and we survived it, so I know you can too. Last week, I attended the Boring Dull Parade, and boring, dull days. It was a great, great participation for the community to come out, and it was probably one of the shortest parades ever. You went down this block, and then up this block, and you were done, and all the old cars were displayed, and it was a lot of fun. My car, I'll just say, was a 1957 Chevy Bel Air, navy blue. It was sparkling. No, I don't own it, but I got to ride in it, and that was an honor. A friend has this car, and we've been touring parades in it. Mark, you saw it. Last night, I met with Willamette Falls Locks Authority. I'm on that committee that was appointed through the legislation and the governor to open the locks, the repair of the Willamette Falls locks across the river so we can open it again to boat traffic, recreation, and commerce. We worked on our budget, finalized our budget. In addition to the monies that are being used to repair the locks, we have fundraised just south of $1 million for the operations of us so we can continue operations and raise money and get those repaired and fully operational for the public to enjoy. In my final comment, I would like to say happy birthday to my husband of almost 47 years. We'll be celebrating our anniversary early next month. Thank you, Nate, for putting up with me for all these years. Seeing no further business before this commission, we are adjourned.